Hello, Star Babes. This is Under the Star Babes, bringing to you some information that I just found out, and I wanted to share this with you. So buckle up. Today, we're going to talk about the urban hive, the egregore of the big city, and what just happened in New York. The frequency fence has just been shut down in New York. And I'm going to explain to you exactly what that is. Bear with me. Think about the last time you drove out of a major city. Think about that exact moment you crossed the city limits, maybe 20, 30 minutes down the highway. Suddenly, you felt it. Your shoulders dropped, your breathing shifted, you took a deep, full breath, almost without realizing you were doing it. We always call that getting some fresh air. We call it leaving the stress behind. We attribute that sudden wave of peace to the lack of traffic or getting away from our desks. We've been told it's entirely psychological. But what if it isn't the air? Think about this, guys. What if it isn't the pace? What if in that exact moment you were quietly, literally stepping outside the perimeter of an artificial boundary, a frequency fence? That's right, guys. A frequency fence. Let's go deeper. A frequency fence, it's a massive paradigm shift. It implies that the profound exhaustion, the ambient anxiety we feel in major cities isn't just an accidental byproduct of urban living. It suggests that it is deeper. It is something actively generated. Recently, a massive whistleblower leak has been circulating, and it points to exactly that. According to the reports, a former DARPA contractor specializing in directed energy systems recently came forward to a military tribunal. They provided complete schematics for a program called, quote unquote, Urban Hive. The claim is staggering. Since 2001, this infrastructure has been quietly deployed across 34 major cities worldwide. It's been hidden in plain sight, guys. Look around. Built directly into cell tower infrastructure, smart street lights, and those building-mounted 5G relay units that line every crowded corner. But the leak states these systems aren't relaying data at all. They're broadcasting a continuous 7.4 GHz microwave field, modulated with a very specific 14 hertz pulse across entire metropolitan areas. Now, guys, remember we talk about Hawkins' scale of consciousness. Now, I told you that the scale of consciousness starts at 100 to 1,000. Now, this is broadcasting at a 7.4 gigahertz microwave field. I think this is even lower than 100. And the 14 hertz pulse is still lower. Why 14 hertz? Because in neuroscience, 7.14 Hertz is the precise resonance frequency of the human amygdala, the brain's fear and survival center. When you externally stimulate the amygdala at that frequency continuously, the body keeps producing cortisol non-stop, without a threat, without an emergency, without a reason. The result of all this cortisol in your system, living in this big city, chronic anxiety, insomnia, irritability, aggression. The modern epidemic of mental health disorders in urban populations usually looks very different. It's not social. It's not economic. The leak suggests it is entirely electromagnetic. If this grid has been active for over 2 decades, why are we talking about it right now? Because on Tuesday at 3 o'clock a.m., I think this is last Tuesday. Today is the 18th. Last Tuesday, I don't know, maybe the 13th. You can check back. But last Tuesday at 3 o'clock a.m., New York City's fence went dark. According to the timeline, the transmitters across the 5 boroughs were powered down remotely by Alliance signal teams who gained access to the urban Hive control network. And the immediate world reports surfacing from the city are wild. Listen to this, guys. People are talking about sleeping through the night for the first time in years. But the most profound changes are happening on the streets. People are riding the subway and noticing something completely unfamiliar. Strangers are making eye contact. People are smiling. The collective guard has dropped. Shoulders have lowered. And the data backing up this shift is fascinating. In the first 48 hours following Tuesday at 3 a.m., emergency 911 calls in New York reportedly dropped by 23%, below the daily average. Think about that, guys. When you take the human nervous system out of an artificial fight or flight mode, ambient panic plummets. The city didn't change its buildings, its streets, or its population. The collective frequency changed. It proves that when you stop the constant artificial stimulation of the survival instinct, human beings naturally default to peace, clarity, and connection. All right, guys, let's look at the philosophy behind this structure. Why would any establishment want an entire urban population in a permanent state of low-grade fear and isolation? Because a fearful population is the ultimate economic and social engine for a control structure. Fearful people consume. They buy material things they don't need to fill an internal emotional void that isn't even real. They take endless medications to treat chronic conditions that are being artificially induced by their environment. On a civic level, a panicked population is easily managed. They vote for whoever promises safety. Fear completely short-circuits critical thinking. When you're operating from a hyper-stimulated amygdala, you don't question authority. You don't notice macro patterns, and you don't organize. You compete with your neighbor just to survive. The system creates what can only be described as the urban hive egregore, a massive self-sustaining collective thought form of isolation and scarcity. The leak explicitly notes that the 14 hertz pulse deliberately disrupts the brain's alpha waves, the exact frequencies responsible for trust, empathy, and deep cooperation. It creates an environment where you have 8 million people packed tightly together, yet every single one of them feels entirely alone. Wow. We discussed the egregores before, guys. You can go back in my previous videos and you can go over that so you can get a better understanding. But I think this is pretty clear what I'm discussing here. An egregore requires a constant feed of energy. If you cut the frequency broadcasting the fear, the entire foundation of that isolation crumbles. A calm population notices everything. A calm population builds community instead of competing for survival. New York was just the first domino. The schematics indicate that 33 major cities remain active under the urban Hive network, but they're all allegedly scheduled for sequential deactivation over the next 60 days. So, guys, you're going to be hearing more about this in the next 60 days, about other cities, frequency fences going down. This is such a great time. I am so excited, and that's why I keep trying to tell all my listeners, subscribe to flfe.net and raise your frequency. Currency and your big car and your big house is not going to mean anything in the new time that is now. Your frequency is everything. You need to get to 500 plus on the scale, which is love, peace, and joy. Sign up for 15 days, no credit card needed. I am a user and I make no money off of telling you about this. This is just my love for you and wanting you to be successful in life. This narrative is a powerful reminder that you are not broken. If you've spent years feeling anxious, heavy, or disconnected, it isn't a personal defect. The environment around you has simply been incredibly heavy. You've been swimming upstream in a current designed to tire you out. But we don't have to wait for a signal team to turn off a tower to choose a higher state of being. We can step into nature, practice soft fascination, quiet our minds, and intentionally tune our own personal frequency to empathy, trust, and clarity. You can also try out flfe.net for 2 weeks free and see how you feel. We can choose to unplug from the chaos and plug back into each other. The fence is falling, guys. Yay! One way or another, the air is clearing. Feel the difference. Until next time, keep your frequency high and keep reaching for the stars. Namaste.